Yeah. Hey man, all I'm saying is, nigga, you always got something to say. It's like you don't shut up. On the track.
A lot of niggas died 1865. Single Michael fled high, I ain't gon' let it ride. Everybody hollering black was never on your side. They do maps to tell your apps where you sleep at night. They put that white man on. Got you begging them for answers like that white man know. Had you swearing you was African, that's that white man home. Had you proud to be a savage, that's that white man zone. And I ain't talking shit, this by definition. And being savage was our nature, y'all be non-existent. We done took your ass out when we was in them kitchens. Instead of showing you how to live and how to maintain business. White supremacy fake. Only way that shit real is if you do what they say. We the guards of the gate. So when they say they fear God, now you know what they made.
What? Orientation. The alleyway. You know, I had to really step back and look at my situation for what it was. You know, I had to look at my life like it was a movie. I had to look at all the moving parts. So I could really understand what it was. You know, they say love make you blind. Yeah, I'm introverted. I don't talk to niggas cause I'm constantly serving. I got a trap on top of my back, I got a murder. Head goes on the back, the streets wanna murder. This shit called murder. The streets wanna murder. The streets wanna murder. I told you that a gang of violence will come with murders. This shit come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. Hate the city red. All the shit I seen replaying in my head. Heard the streets smoking, so we caught them boys instead. Black wanna murder and they caught with another feds. And I pray they wouldn't. But it was right, really. Niggas was crooked. Playing the pity with niggas that cost them a bullet. Him on the bullet to him, but I had to pull it. We'll put in the streets, we'll put in the trap.
One hand on music. I rub my palms on this microphone, it's therapeutic.
I know the streets listen when I talk, I can't abuse it,
I can't abuse it.
I can't abuse it.
Shout out to the American Aborigines in the chat, man. It's a beautiful day to be an Aborigine, man. Let's get it. Hit that like button as you come in, share the live stream.
This shit come with burden. I'm introverted. I don't talk to niggas cause I'm constantly serving. I got a trap on top of my back, I got a burden. Head goes on the block, the streets wanna murder. This shit come with burdens. The streets wanna murder. Streets wanna murder. I told you that this gang of balls will come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. This shit come with burdens. If you're a baby, you know why I get it. Stuck in the grind, bitch, I'm on a mission. But when they talking, little baby, I'm different. And on my nuts, I handle my business. And on my business, shit in the business. I'm really rapping the shit that I'm living. I got a problem inside of my mind. I hear the streets talking, they tell me to give it. Yeah, I gotta give it. Yeah, bitch, tell me I'm tripping. Tell me all of my money on top of my music to give myself what I was missing. Yeah, I never asked for niggas for a band. I never caught them niggas in the jam. I know the ops stepping in the moon. I know my head going for a band. I don't talk to niggas cause I'm constantly serving. I got a trap on top of my back.
Let's get it, Aborigines. Hit that like button, show the live stream, man. You already know it's the Wake and Bake Show. Big Aboriginal power, man. Let's get it.
See, my life has been in motion. I'm a little windy. I'm not giving up yet. If you with me, time to place up your bet. Ain't no turning back, got niggas who ran. When we caught his ass, got caught in that jam. Yeah, you know who I am. Yeah, you know who I am. I can feel it coming. I can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. It's that feeling in your stomach, you can feel it coming. Yeah, you can feel it coming. Fake love, that snake you in your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it. Too much fake love, that snake you in your face, love. Your face, love. That snake you in your face, love. I told my brothers we gon' make it, that's how God wrote it. And the snake gon' show his face, cause that's how God wrote it.
Yeah. Hey Hey man, all I'm saying is, nigga, you always got something to say. It's like you don't shut up.
On the track.
A lot of niggas died 1865. Single Michael fled high, ain't gon' let it ride. Everybody hot and black was never on your side. They do maps to tell your apps where you sleep at night. They put that white man on. Got you begging them for answers like that white man know. Had you swearing you was African, that's that white man home. Had you proud to be a savage, that's that white man zone. And I ain't talking shit, this by definition. And being savage was our nature, y'all be non-existent. We done took your ass out when we was in them kitchens. Instead of showing you how to live and how to maintain business. White supremacy fake. Only way that shit real is if you do what they say.
Suave on the track.
Whatever it takes. Alleyway.
Coco, this your season right now.
They won't see me. They won't let me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I put attention, all of my blood, all of my veins. They started with perky, now that hair by numb is veins. You started with serving, now them drugs drove you insane. Started with dealing, I grew up with killers, they call me the gang. I got some niggas that die behind, and that shit won't never the same. I know some niggas that lie behind, and that bullet had his name. Ain't no reason to cry about, cause that shit won't never change. MTF the 4th and P, my niggas can't get out the game. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah.
Lost see, I glossed to it, shit ain't been the same. Heard the ops talking to the feds, giving names. Who gon' feed my family if they take me out the game? Keep one in the head and one eye open, that ain't change. I'm quick to catch a body. When I shoot, he shoot, I know bro shooting right beside me. Them hollow tips go through the wall and then they hit his body.
Y'all already know the vibes, man. Peace and blessings to the American Aborigines in the chat, man. Peace and blessings, man. It's your brother, Big Aboriginal Power. Y'all now tuned into the Wake and Bake Show. Y'all already know the vibes. Let me know where y'all at in the chat. We got 46 people in here. Shout out to everybody tuning in that's not able to chat, that's on their daily commute, maybe at work, listen to it on the break. Shout out to y'all for tapping in. Let me take the time out to shout out some of the brothers and sisters that took their time out to comment in the chat. So let me shout out to Commander-in-Chief, Dre Cobb's Music, Big Dog Philly OG, Maurice Miller, Tampa Supreme, Big Chief Fuck You Crackers, Original Anglo-Saxon, Mound City Meadow, Boot Count, TY45XXX in the building, Shy Alpha in the building, Scheme Teams in the building, Haru Duke of Great Lakes in the building, Son of California in the building. What y'all smoking on, man? Where y'all at? This Grand Rising. Craig Lloyd in the building, DTG in the building, Amaru Khan World in the building, especially Navar's in the building, Bronze Flat Power in the building, Dot, Truth Over Everything, Determination Over Trust. Shout out to my nigga Truth Over Everything in the building, Darius Matthews in the building. All right, shout out to everybody in the chat. Back Creek in the building, Brandon Rogers, Mr. Brandon Rogers to you, Aos Chaos in the building. You understand me? And Back Creek, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Hey, I would like everybody in here to support the channel. If you ain't support the channel, man, don't forget we got the challenge going on, man. Make sure y'all support the channel. Cash out tags at the bottom right of the screen. I want to say peace and blessings to everybody in here. Hopefully y'all having a great Grand Rising in a beautiful day. You understand me? You know what I'm saying? Hopefully it's productive. Hopefully your energy's up. I'm feeling good. I'm about to drop this heat. I told you I was coming with 9 days of heat. Shout out to my brother Rue Words in the chat. Shout out to Elizabeth Young. Chief Crazy Overstanding, and Pop Reed as well. Shout out to you guys for coming in the chat. But listen, man, I'm so ready to get it in. Man, make sure y'all support the channel, man. Make sure y'all support the channel. Y'all like this heat, man, support it. Let me go, man. Support the movement. You know what I mean? Support the movement. You know what I mean? Support the channel, hit the like button. I got some heat lined up for you guys. Y'all already know we just hit after the 10-minute marker. Time to light up. Let's light up the woods. Let's light up the woods and get straight into this fire information. Schemes, I explained the ice wall to you after the live stream and all that little shit. The ice wall shit tricky. We'll talk about that. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. If y'all can hear me loud and clear, can I get everybody in the chat to go hit the like button? After you have thumbed up the video, can you please drop some fire emojis in the chat? Let me know that y'all can hear everything loud and clear. Support the channel, man. Hey, man, y'all see the title, What History Books Lie About in School, man. We're going to be talking about olmec history, the untold history about olmecs. We're going to be having somebody break it down from an archaeological standpoint, a researcher standpoint, an active field researcher standpoint. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be getting into that exclusive interview you can't find on YouTube. So we're going to be breaking that down as well, man. Make sure y'all support the whole movement, man. Make sure y'all support the whole movement. If y'all ready, man, drop them fire emojis. I'm waiting on y'all to support the channel, man. We got the $3 channel, the $2 channel, excuse me. Everybody in the chat can donate $2 to the platform, man. The link's ticking across. If you got Cash App, PayPal's information ticking across as well. Make sure y'all support the channel. It's very, 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 very important for you guys to hit that like button. And if you ain't subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and you so you can get all your latest updates, contents, and notifications to live stream. You see what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? We got 70 people in here. Can we get 65 likes in here? Can we get 65 likes in the building? Are y'all ready to hear the exclusive interview? Y'all ready? Let's get it.
Facts about the Olmecs. Archaeology nerd discoveries have been enlightening and may just trigger a paradigm shift in the way we see Olmec civilization. I'll try to leave that till the end of the episode. First, I'll have to start with some basic facts about the Olmecs. Archaeology nerds like myself can sometimes forget that most people have never even heard of the Olmecs. Let me just say from the start that the Olmec were an amazing civilization. Thousands of years after corn was domesticated, they seemed to be the first Mesoamerican culture to harness it to feed a large population and develop beyond a simple chiefdom level of social organization. That new level of social organization is best evidenced by the massive stone sculptures they began carving. Beautifully executed, they were clearly carved by master artists and exhibit all sorts of clues to Olmec religion, politics, and cosmology. No other Mesoamerican culture was doing anything close at the time. The Olmecs and their massive sculptures seemed to come out of nowhere, and they did so in a seemingly very difficult place to live, the hot, humid swamps of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. For those not so familiar with Mexico's geography, the Isthmus of Tehuantepec is that skinny part of Mexico in between northern Mexico and the Yucatan. Its northern part, inland but along the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, is considered the Olmec cultural heartland. Within that zone are at least 4 major Olmec cities and dozens of smaller subsidiary villages. For decades, the extremely old age of the Olmec sites had everyone calling them Mesoamerica's mother culture.
Can y'all hear everything loud and clear, man? We want to make sure all the audio is good, man. We about to have this guy break this history down flat out. Are y'all listening? Y'all hear everything loud and clear? Is all the audio good? Let's get it.
Within that zone are at least 4 major Olmec cities and dozens of smaller subsidiary villages. For decades, the extremely old age of the Olmec sites had everyone calling them Mesoamerica's mother culture. and in some regards they still are. But more and more archaeologists are finding equally old sites well outside the Olmec heartland. These days, many of us, myself included, see the Olmec as more of a major player in a complex network of various civilizations interacting and influencing each other. I'll circle back to those contemporary cultures in a bit, but for now, let's stay in the Olmec heartland. So, just how old are the Olmecs? I'm not sure we've finished investigating that question, but for now, the generally accepted start date is around 1450 BCE.
1750 BCE. But we'll do 14. 14 a little older than 17.
First big Olmec center is San Lorenzo, built on a long ridge above tributary.
The one on the right, see, said the one on the right looks suspect. The one on the right is not even an Olmec statue. It actually is a pre-Toltec carving, and it's out of wood. So that's pre-Toltec compared to Olmec. Shout out to Big Chief Fuck You Crackers supporting the $2 challenge. Hey man, y'all support the $2 challenge and support the movement, man. Make sure y'all support the channel, man. We got the $2 challenge. Shout out to Big Chief Fuck You Crackers for supporting it, man. Don't let Big Chief Fuck You Crackers be the only one supporting the channel today, man. So yeah, the one on the right is a Toltec, the one on the left is an Olmec statue.
Areas of the Kozalkalkos River. We've finished investigating that question, but for now, the generally accepted start date is around 1450 BCE. The first big Olmec center is San Lorenzo, built on a long ridge above tributaries of the Kozalkalkos River. The floodplains of the river were perfect for intensive agriculture, and the ridge kept the community high and dry. Settlement at San Lorenzo actually started earlier, around 1750 BCE, but archaeologists consider those early times to be pre-Olmec. As usual in archaeology, the distinction is really about their detectable behavior. There was a community of farmers there at 1750, but it wasn't until about 1450 that they started creating stone monuments and substantial architecture. And this is one of the mysterious things about the Olmecs. They didn't start with humble structures and little stone carvings. San Lorenzo went straight to multi-ton sculptures and kilometers of terracing around the city ridge. They also flattened out 140 acres of their ridgetop, opening up a long linear platform where they arranged the stone monuments in what might be elite housing. The structures were mostly made of packed earth, but the monuments were all made of basalt that came from the side of a volcano over 80 kilometers away. The way they hauled those basalt monuments to the site is perhaps the largest Olmec mystery that's still completely unsolved. Not all of the 100+ monuments at the site were huge, but the colossal heads and the altars sure were. Of the 10 heads found at San Lorenzo, the smallest is 6 tons, and the largest is 28 tons and over 3 meters in diameter. Scholars still debate how they managed to move them 80 kilometers through swamps to the city's ridgetop. Most textbooks say that they floated them upriver on massive rafts, but we've all quietly known that that's wrong. They're just too heavy for that. A few years back, I had the good fortune of traveling with a nautical engineer named Michael. He was intrigued by this Olmec raft theory, but unlike my colleagues and I, he had the skills to actually evaluate it mathematically. A few weeks after our trip, he sent me this amazing Excel chart with embedded formulas. You could enter the weight of your Olmec head and the size of the balsa wood raft you were using to transport it. Even with a raft made of tree trunks 50 feet wide, anything over 5 tons would sink it. We've all kinda always known that the raft idea wouldn't work, but Michael's Excel chart calculator proved it to me. He actually went even further to theorize what might work. He suggested instead of a raft, lashing logs to the heads vertically. It's a lot harder to push a log into a body of water vertically. That's a basic principle of Archimedes' law of buoyancy. To be honest, this podcast reminds me to check in with Michael to see if he's made a new Excel chart to test that theory. We never really got past trying to name it for fun. He wanted to call it olmec surfing, and I suggested colossal head bobber. Anyhow, Michael's smart investigation only supported the mystery. How did they move them? Overland transport remains the only possibility, and even that seems impossible in swampy marshes. And also, San Lorenzo was not the only Olmec community importing basalt. Smaller places all along the Cozacalcos River and its tributaries were also growing and producing monuments, though strangely only San Lorenzo had colossal heads at first. Did that mark it as the regional capital where the Olmec rulers lived? Well, that's the theory. For reasons still not understood, San Lorenzo's population sharply declined around 1000 BCE. And just as it declined, another major city, some 100 kilometers to the northeast, emerged. That was called La Venta. La Venta clearly fashioned itself in the image of San Lorenzo. A linear platform flanked with large buildings and covered with massive basalt monuments. Instead of San Lorenzo's 10 heads, La Venta had only 4, 1 in the center and 3 on the north end, seemingly the greeters as people entered La Venta's ceremonial complex.
Hey, man, we got 92 people in here. Hey, y'all feeling the information? Drop some fire emojis, man. It's just a part 1, man. We got a part 2 to this. We're going to get to the other half of the video as well, the other audio as well. Shout out to Leonardo. Shout out to Craig. And shout out to everybody else that donated. A couple other people one other person donated that want to stay anonymous. So I appreciate you as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to hit that notification bell, man. We just getting cracking. Make sure y'all turn up, support the channel, man. We only got 89, 90 people in here. Let's try to get 100 people in here before the 30-minute marker. In order to do that, it's going to really need y'all help. I mean, each and every one of you guys to share this on your social media outlet. Each and every one of you.
But La Venta had one major feature that San Lorenzo didn't: a pyramid. And even more importantly, this was the first pyramid ever built in Mesoamerica. It was built not of stone, but packed earth. That made it erode terribly over the centuries, which makes it hard to exactly date. But conservatively, we can say it was somewhere within the city's lifespan, which was 1000 to 400 BCE. Given its central location on La Venta's platform, probably early, 800 BCE is the common estimate. And just FYI, 800 BCE makes it the first pyramid in Mesoamerica, but not the entire Americas. There are much older pyramids on the coast of Peru, and even a 3,600-year-old pyramid in the bayous of northern Louisiana. But that's for another podcast episode. Back to La Venta. It was the biggest, but not nearly the only Olmec community in this last phase of Olmec civilization. Dozens, probably hundreds of Olmec sites dotted the landscape of the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. One of them close to the Tuxtla Mountains, which is where the basalt was coming from, was the only other Olmec site with stone heads. It was called Tres Zapotes. Virtually all of those late Olmec sites, though, were abandoned by 400 BCE, effectively ending Olmec civilization. And this is a place where I may be able to clear up a confusion that many people had. You might be asking, what about Olmec hieroglyphic writing and calendar systems? The fact is that besides a few isolated glyphs on a monument in La Venta and a green stone fragment from a little site called San Andreas, there's no such thing as Olmec writing. Technically, it's Epi-Olmec. Right or wrong, archaeology defines the culture in the Olmec heartland after 400 BCE as Epi-Olmec. In large part, that distinction is about the emergence of writing. The earliest Epi-Olmec text with a date comes from Stela C at Tres Zapotes, which might seem weird because I just said Olmec heads were found at the same site. As archaeology eventually discovered, Tres Zapote had an Olmec phase, then an abandonment, then a rehabilitation during Epi-Olmec times. Tres Zapote's Stela C has a date carved into it which correlates to 32 BC, hundreds of years after the fall of La Venta. And actually, that's not Mesoamerica's earliest inscribed date. That honor goes to Chiapa de Corzo, a half Maya, half Epi-Olmec site in Chiapas. The date there is 36 BCE,
Biden and the government
just 4
has an
years
agenda
earlier
against
than
Black
Tres
Americans.
Zapote Stela C,
Have you noticed
but
rent
enough
rising in
to
the
further
Black community?
confuse the picture. Who exactly invented writing in Mesoamerica? The vote's still out. And with what I estimate as less than 1% of ancient Mesoamerica actually excavated, the question will not be definitively answered for some time to come. Maybe it will be the Olmecs, but in my mind, they're currently in 4th place behind the Maya.
Shout out to Bat Creek for the cash out donation, man. We appreciate the supporting the movement. He said for the community, man. Shout out to my brother Bat Creek, man. Make sure y'all support the channel, man. Make sure y'all support the channel.
The Zapotecs and the Epi-Olmecs. Okay, that's good for part 1. When I return from the commercial break, we'll start talking about what we can look in Philadelphia. The first are behind. So with that in mind, let's talk about Olmec monuments and sculptures. And we'll start with what they're most famous for, the colossal heads. First thing to clarify, there really aren't many of them. Only 17 are known, and those come from only 3 sites, San Lorenzo, La Venta, and Tres Zapotes. There's just one more outside of the Olmec heartland, a smaller one from the Maya site of Tacalica in the Guatemalan highlands. No other colossal heads were made in Mesoamerica, ever. That in and of itself is important to know. Whatever they were unique to the Olmecs. Though the faces on each are distinctly different, the heads share a set of traits. First, they're all made out of basalt, quarried from the same place, the southern slope of the Tuxtla Mountains. That means that both...
Thank you. Y'all hear everything loud and clear, man. I want to make sure we good in the chat. We got 103 people in here. Let's run them likes up. We definitely looking a little light on the likes. Definitely looking a little light on the likes. Make sure y'all support the movement, man. And if y'all can hear everything loud and clear, can you make sure y'all drop some fire emojis in the chat to let me know that y'all can hear everything loud and clear? Y'all drop some fire emojis.
An unfathomably difficult task without modern machinery. Even Tres Zapotes, which was closer to the quarry, had to move them many kilometers. Denotes their importance to unfathomably difficult task without modern machinery. Even Tres Zapotes, which was closer to the quarry, had to move them many kilometers. The effort alone denotes their importance to the Olmecs. Another common element is the helmets. Each Olmec head wears a helmet, or maybe it's a headdress of authority. That's hard to say. Though some are partially eroded, we can definitely see that each helmet is unique. Each has its own iconography. One has tassels and braids, another has jade beads, another has jaguar claws, etc. In subsequent Mesoamerican cultures, unique iconographic elements in a headdress or other vestments indicate that person's name, and named people are invariably elite and important. Applying that logic to the Olmec heads, the consensus belief is that they're representing Olmec kings. And oh, by the way, that's another thing, they're all male. So if they're royal portraits set up in public places, what does that tell us? It means that the Olmec were ruled by kings, not councils or other more egalitarian means. And that in turn means social hierarchy. I know that sounds like a minor conclusion from these amazing heads, but detecting rulers is a big deal. Remember, this may have never before happened in Mesoamerica. Another odd feature of the heads is that a number of them have really flat backsides. Early theories suggested that that was evidence of them being dragged long distances, but that really didn't make sense. Then Kent Riley suggested that the heads were actually recycled stone, carved from the giant altars also found at Olmec sites. He suggested that those rectangular altars were in fact benches for Olmec rulers in life, and that they were converted to portraits of them after death. Is that really what happened? It's hard to prove, but everybody loves Riley's theory, so it's mentioned in all the Olmec textbooks. As I've always said, in archaeology, the best story wins. And congrats to Kent Riley as the winner. I love that theory, and I'm running with it until disproven. Now, I don't want to feed the monster, but I should take a moment to address erroneous theories about the facial characteristics of the Olmec heads. Some people look at their wide noses and thick lips and say, hey, those faces look African. Someone even once wrote a sci-fi novel imagining that NFL football players time traveled to the Olmec times, complete with their helmets on. That's, of course, fiction.
Yeah, we know it's fiction, nigga. We been debunking that they not African, nigga. But you ain't gonna say that they no motherfucking Asians neither, though, honky. Tell you that.
And so is the notion that Olmecs were from Africa. Those kinds of noses and lips can actually be seen in the faces of modern inhabitants of the same area. And they are of confirmed Native American descent, not African. For years, that statement was hampered by the lack of Olmec skeletons found. Thanks to the acidic soils of the region, most of them had all dissolved. But a 2018 study of 2 skeletons luckily found around San Lorenzo has finally closed the book, or at least I hope. The mitochondrial DNA of both is haplogroup A, only found in Native Americans and a bit of Upper Siberia. African mitochondrial DNA is haplogroup L, and none was detected in the Olmec skeletons nor the modern populations. So
well, if we're gonna say the skeleton, are you gonna give what the craniology report said?
Definitely no. Those heads don't have African faces. Now let's change gears and talk about another important thing we see.
Nigga, don't try to move on that quick, little white boy. What the craniology said. The craniology was uncertainty, according to Richard Neves and Michael Neves. They said the craniology was of a Negro. You understand me? What the fuck is he talking about?
Ian Olmec.
He gonna skip all that. He gonna say they wasn't African, but he ain't gonna tell you who the fuck they was. He's just gonna move on. He said, we're gonna move on forward. These niggas Native American. What? This nigga bugging.
Were jaguars. Yes, like werewolves, just jaguars. People who can turn into jaguars. It's actually pretty prevalent in Olmec art. We see humans with jaguar faces and sometimes other body parts like claws or tails. It's carved into the sides of big altars, on pottery, and on figurines.
They really talking about Wakanda. You ever heard of the Black Panther? The whole story of the Black Panther comes from the story of the Jaguar King. That's Kukulkan. Khan. That's the Maya. They talk about it in the Popol Vuh. You see what I'm saying? I can show you an illustration right now. Look. This is it. Nah, that ain't it. That ain't the full picture. I didn't get the full picture. Yeah. When I get that full picture up there for y'all, y'all niggas gonna see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm gonna show you my man in the Jaguar outfit, a Black Panther outfit. They ain't found no Black Panther outfits in Africa. They ain't found no motherfucking Black Panther mask in motherfucking Africa. All these superheroes that you hear about is motherfucking romanticized history of Aboriginal figures, man, that they don't want to tell you about.
Means carved.
Why you don't think you hear about none of these ancient Aboriginal figures? You heard about King Tut and all them retarded motherfuckers, but you ain't heard about none of the greats in America.
In jade and obsidian. We know this kind of imagery from cultures all over the Americas. It's the shamanic ability to transform into fierce animals. So for the Olmec, it's a window into their religious beliefs. They believed in the power of shamanism to transform, and with it, the belief in the other world. Contact with that other world is where the power comes from. We also see another important thing: babies transforming into jaguars. The famous Lord of Las Limas statue is probably the best example. A man holds a swaddled infant with a jaguar face. What does that tell us? That shamanic power is inherited, not learned. Surely the infant couldn't have been taught how to transform. And if power is inherited, it's a good guess that the Olmec had hereditary rulership. Okay, just two other things I want to bring up before I run out of time in this second segment of the episode: bald guys and warfare. First, warfare. I welcome anyone to prove me wrong, but I see absolutely no evidence of warfare in Olmec art. No weapons, no fight scenes, no captives, really no signs of violence at all. There's an image of a guy being eaten by a jaguar, which is pretty violent, but that's not warfare either. Obsidian blades, spearheads, and axes have been found, but those could just be tools. Now, I think imagining a human society with no violence is a pipe dream, so almost certainly the Olmec did.
Nah, it's not a pipe dream because you also find it in Corral Soupe. You don't see no pottery, no imagery, no signs of warfare. You actually see strong signs of camaraderie.
Fight. But its complete absence from Olmec art says something. It says that the Olmec did not revere or value warfare. All the later Mesoamerican cultures sure.
Hey man, make sure y'all hit the like button, man. Make sure y'all support the channel. Support the channel, y'all. Support the channel, man. Make sure y'all support the channel. We got the $2 challenge going. PayPal tax going across the screen. Cash out on the bottom right of the screen. Most important thing y'all can do for the channel, man, is to hit that like button and to share the live stream. Shout out to everybody in the chat. If y'all can hear me loud and clear, make sure y'all drop them fire emojis, man. This is the Wake and Bake channel. This is your brother Big Aboriginal Power. Let's get
it. With no violence is a pipe dream. So almost certainly the Olmec did fight. But its complete absence from Olmec art says something. It says that the Olmec did not revere or value warfare. All the later Mesoamerican cultures sure did. Maya, Zapotecs, Aztecs. Their monuments are full of elites holding weapons and humbling captives. It's neat and kind of mysterious that the Olmec didn't. Okay, the other thing was bald guys. Looking at the corpus of Olmec art, and I've been looking at it for decades, I can't find a single male figure with hair on his head. Not one. Male babies too, all totally bald. That fact is made even more clear by the very few Olmec depictions of women. They do have hair.
Again, he said you can't find an Olmec statue with her. That's lying. One of the first Olmecs ever found, El Negro. Look it up. I want y'all to look it up right now. Type in Olmec statue El Negro. It got a fucking afro. He got a fucking afro. Dude right here is cap, or he just don't know what the fuck he talking about. Look up El Negro. Olmec statue. He's gonna have an afro. What is he talking about?
And I challenge you. Someone show me an Olmec man with hair The colossal heads and some other figurines wear helmets, but I bet if we took them off, they'd be bald underneath.
He gotta be tripping. He gotta be tripping. His ass tripping right now.
I run out of time in this second segment of its colossal heads and some other figurines wear helmets, but I bet if we took them off, they'd be bald underneath. There's no way an
His ass lying his stupid ass off.
entire culture of people were bald from birth, so they must be intentionally shaving
Some of them had cornrows. Some of them did have the baldy though.
their heads. Why? Was it some insignia of rank or a signal of priestly devotion like Shaolin monks? I really don't know, but it's fascinating. As far as I can see, the Olmecs constantly shaved their heads. Okay, on that weird note, I'll reset and take my final commercial break. When I return, we'll talk about Olmec influence on the wider Mesoamerican world and some surprising new discoveries. This podcast public lore. Okay, so up until now, I've been talking only about things that occurred within the Olmec heartland. But another amazing aspect of Olmec civilization is just how far-reaching their trade network was. Olmec caches and tombs are full of
Good idea,
artifacts that we call exotic.
$1 billion smile. Shout out to you, man. That's a good idea. Hey, y'all support the channel, man. Hit that like button. Support the channel, man. It's a fire ass bill. Y'all want some more heat after this? I'll cook up another one. You know what I'm saying? Right now, today. I gotta support the channel, man. Share the live stream. Let's get it cracked.
Basically, materials and objects that clearly came from afar. Materials like jade, obsidian, and pyrite were not available in the Olmec lowlands, but they're abundant at Olmec sites. A few pieces made out of rare green apple jade are thought to have come from as far away as Costa Rica. Olmec jade mostly came from the Maya highlands in Guatemala. Pyrite came from central Oaxaca, and obsidian came in large part from central Mexico. The traditional view is that the Olmecs reached out to those places for materials, and in doing so inspired them to develop their own urban centers. But nowadays, most archaeologists see it as a complex system of cross-influences, with cultures like the Maya and Zapotecs teaching the Olmec new tricks as well. Shared iconography is now being seen as an exchange of ideas, rather than the Olmec schooling everyone they met. And if I could back up for a second, there was a time when we didn't know how old the Olmec really were. The first Olmec head was found at Tres Zapotes in the mid-1800s, but formal excavations in the Olmec area didn't start until the 1930s. At that time, Mesoamerican archaeology was really focused on the Maya. Proud Mayanists like J. Eric Thompson and Sylvanus Morley were sure that the Maya were the oldest civilization. By the 1940s, battle lines had been drawn. Arguing for the great antiquity of the Olmecs were American archaeologists George Valiant and Matthew Sterling, Mexican archaeologist Alfonso Caso, and the famous Mexican artist Miguel Covarrubias. On Team Maya were J. Eric Thompson and his tribe. Thompson pretty much ruled the field in those days. You could either agree with Thompson or be publicly ridiculed by him. Those were your options. I especially liked Covarrubias' contributions to the debate. His perspective was from art history, and the arguments he made for Mesoamerican iconography evolving from early Olmec forms still hold true today. Thompson, who was losing ground from the beginning, was actually arguing that the Olmecs were post-classic. But when carbon-14 dating techniques were developed in the 1950s, that was the end. The Olmec were confirmed as Mesoamerica's oldest civilization. Since then, a lot of archaeology has occurred, and the origin dates of various civilizations have been pushed back to become Olmec contemporaries. In the Valley of Mexico, Covarrubias brilliantly connected Tlatilco's ceramic styles to those of the Olmec. An off-white color style of Tlatilco figurines were tied to the Olmec forms depicting these strange chubby babies. Another type was dubbed dragon pots by Covarrubias. Sadly, Tlatilco is now buried under Mexico City's urban sprawl, so it was lucky that Covarrubias did his studies when he did. In the mountainous states of Morelos and Guerrero, west of the Olmec heartland, there are fully Olmec sites that have been discovered. In Guerrero, the Olmec site of Teopanticuantitlan was found in the 1980s. Try to say that name 5 times fast. Teopanticuantitlan. Anyhow, the site is dated to about 1200 to 600 BCE and full of undeniably Olmec monuments. It also had a ball court in a sunken plaza, the only known Olmec court. Chalcatzingo in Morelos is another Olmec site. While its dates are toward the end of Olmec times, its monuments and carved cliffsides are definitely Olmec. Those sites, and a few I didn't mention, have challenged our ideas about the extent of the Olmec heartland. I, for one, would like to see that region expanded towards the west to include those sites. The Valley of Oaxaca is another place where we find well-organized communities interacting with the Olmecs. The many pyrite mirrors found at Olmec sites are all clearly from Oaxaca. The northern Oaxaca Valley sites of San Jose Magote and Etlatongo are both Olmec contemporaries, but they have very different architecture. While the Olmec were still using packed earth, these people, perhaps Proto-Zapotecs, were building massive platforms in stone. They also had ball courts predating the one in Teopanticuantitlan. San Jose Magote also has Mesoamerica's earliest calendar glyph. It says 1 earthquake. And in the San Jose Magote tomb, an 18-inch tall solid jade statue of an Olmec man was found. Its slanted eyes and downturned lips make that Olmec identification very secure. And by the way, he's also bald. A massive jade Olmec statue at San Jose Magote? Just who's paying tribute to who? Add the stone architecture in the ball courts that weren't Olmec inspired, and you see where I'm going with this. The model where the Olmec dominated early Mesoamerica and taught the other civilizations everything they knew is just not very tenable anymore. And as much as those early Zapotecs were standing toe-to-toe with the Olmecs, the Maya were even more so. There's an area called the Soconusco along the Pacific coast.
Man. So I just want y'all to pay attention to what's going on, man. Y'all listen to what's going on. We got some more heat we about to kick up, man. I want y'all to pay attention to everything that's going on in here. About to get to the second half of the video. I need y'all to thumb up the video and support the channel, man. Support the channel, man. Cash App tags at the bottom right of the screen, man. It ain't wrong to support the channel. Make sure y'all share the live stream as well. Make sure y'all share the live stream as well. Let's get into some more shit. Let's go.
And just how revolutionary it is in the fact that these are not simple dwellings. They are highly sophisticated dwellings that were used for a multiple, we don't really know how they were used. We guess that they're ceremonial.
Let me run some of this back for you.
As our guest today, but I have to say this: the reason that Ed's with us, Ed spent over 3,000 years, and we're still not sure of the inception date of both the Olmec and the Maya. Now, the Olmec are unique for a lot of reasons, and one of the most odd reason is that they show up complete. And when I say complete, their mathematics, their cosmology, their engineering, their science is all in place. We don't find any trails of start and stop, or what we would call research and development. That's what we use today. That's a term that we place for new companies. But in this case, they show up and they are what is considered a high level of civilization. Their calendars are extremely sophisticated. They have a 260-day calendar. They have a 360-day calendar. They have the long count. And many people consider them the mother culture of the Aztecs, the Maya, Toltec, and so on. And that these calendars and this other data was handed down to these other civilizations. Well, we don't know that. We don't know that because we don't have codices that say that. We don't have any stone stelae, standing monuments that say that. We don't know. So this is the guesswork that drives me crazy. And this is why Dr. Ed's going to join us and explain to us what is known, what is not known. And he's very frank and refreshing in his take as a field archaeologist. I mean, he was mentored by Linda Sheely, who's one of the foremost Mayanists in the world, right up there with Michael Coe and others. So it's going to be great fun to talk to him, listen closely on the research that's being conducted, and towards the end of the interview, we're going to present the work of Takahashi Inamoto, who is the archaeologist from the University of Arizona, who found these scans, these LiDAR scans that the Mexican government made as LiDAR was just being introduced. And he took and he found those and processed the data, and he found almost 500 of these very, very unusual platforms, which they call ceremonial centers, cities, and other temple pavilions and what they would call, what we call civic centers of ancient, what they think is Maya, but it's right in the heart of Olmec land, so we don't really know for sure. So we're going to talk about that research and just how revolutionary it is in the fact that these are not simple dwellings. They are highly sophisticated dwellings that were used for a multiple, we don't really know how they were used. We guess that they're a ceremonial center, but I have to say this, that the papers that Takahashi has submitted, and the most recent one in Nature magazine, is groundbreaking simply because this is a 3,000 plus year old platform, the main platform that he found, and it is so perfect, and it is 1.5 miles long by 0.5 mile wide. Well, he was curious at it because the surface is perfectly balanced. It's engineered to have water run off of it. It is reinforced underneath. It's weight bearing, massively weight bearing, which is what they do for modern day runways. Well, we don't want to get into ancient aliens here, but I question that kind of stuff, and especially the age. This is like really, really early Maya. And like Hansen tells us, Dr. Hansen's excavating El Mirador, the earliest Maya were the most sophisticated. I mean, he's there at El Mirador, and those pyramids he's excavating are monsters. They're the largest in the Americas. They're huge. And here we have a LiDAR scan.
I don't think y'all feeling the bill, man. If y'all feeling the bill, drop some fire emojis in the chat. This is one of the ones right here. I ain't even gonna hold you. Y'all feeling the bill, drop some fire emojis, man. Support the channel, man. We're almost at an hour marker right now. Share the live stream, y'all. Support the channel, man. Y'all want me to continue, man? Hit that like button, share the live stream. Support the channel, man. Those who want to donate, man, the cash out tags at the bottom right of the screen by the Grizzly Bear. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Rob Coy. Shout out to Negro Science. E Knots in the building. Lady Spade, what's up? Aboriginal React, what's going on, big bro? Hey, listen, let's continue this fire ass shit, man. Let's go. Y'all ready? Let's get it.
And of South Mexico, of these platforms, and the one site which is known as Aguada Phoenix is has been partially excavated, and this is the real anomaly, simply because the dates are outrageous. The pyramidal structures that surround this site are, I mean, beautiful, but they're all covered. And as I mentioned months ago, when you have pyramids close to these large platforms, you got to think of John Burke's work and the telluric field measurements that he made on these pyramids. Now, to date, we don't have any written documents about how these pyramids were used, but we do know from Burke that it's likely that they were transmitting energy and perhaps being used by the locals for some form of energy generation. We don't know. I did a talk last year on an Ancient Origins program, and I speculate, and others do too, that Tesla in his Wardenclyffe Tower used a similar type of connection with telluric fields that were passing through the area where the Wardenclyffe Tower was. His idea was to have free energy to power planes, boats, submarines, cars, whatever. I have a strong feeling that this is exactly what these platforms were used for, you know, for vehicles of some kind, self-propelled vehicles. But that's a stretch. We don't still understand that. But this is the foundation of this book I'm writing, the Maya Controversy. Not only does Tesla come up and reuse some of the designs that the Maya conceived of, but later in the year, I have a group of scientists from South America that have discovered a number of carvings of various flying vehicles. This is beyond just the gold vehicles that we know about from the Gold Museum in Bolivia, which has been documented on various programs. This researcher, and I'll talk about him later when I get back from Egypt, has written a number of articles on these small carvings that are from the local quarries. The accuracy of these carvings and the shapes of them are mind-blowing. They're shaped like present-day aircraft, and this is something that has always been a speculation. They were found in the Tiwanaku area of Bolivia, and they're in private collections, which is kind of sad because I would love to have seen them. But we're going to talk about technology of the ancients in the coming months, and you know, I'm of the belief that there is lost technology, and that the prior to our written history, the technology of various civilizations on Earth was highly sophisticated in many ways, equal to what we have today, if not greater. So anyhow, our program today is the mystery of the Olmec, and we're joined by Dr. Edwin Barnard.
This Pride, everyone's coming through for the Trevor Project.
Talking about as his training gives him a certain look and perspective. And also, if you've heard about his background, he was mentored by Linda Sheely, who I am a huge, huge fan of, simply because she looks at these ruins of these people from an artist's point of view. And being a trained artist myself, I have appreciated her work for many, many years. Unfortunately, she had an untimely death in her mid 50s, and left us. But she was pretty impressive. So anyhow, Ed, welcome to Earth Ages. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for inviting me back.
Okay. Hey, what is it about the Olmec? As a student of Mesoamerican cultures, must have been like 101, class 101, because they're supposed to be the mother culture, right?
Well, yeah, you'd think it'd be 101. The problem is that we know still not nearly enough about this mother culture. So, yeah, we kind of dance around it. We don't get to that one first because we have to do a lot of stammering about what we don't know.
Well, let's just go through the basics that we do know about. They show up on the scene 1600 BC, which I would guess you would call the inception date. And then they last until 350 BC, which that's a long time ago. And that might really contribute to our lack of knowledge, simply because they're really old people, aren't they?
They are. They are among the first, I would say, cultures in Mesoamerica. You know, we used to say they were the mother culture before we said they were older than the Maya. We've been learning and revising what we say, but you know, today we see other cultures that are interacting with them. You know, one of the things that's amazing about the Olmec culture is their giant sphere of influence. And, you know, when you really think about it logically, they've got to have people to influence to have that sphere of influence. So, you know, today we see them, I think they're still like in the driver's seat of a lot of changes way back then, but they're interacting with people that are Proto-Maya and Proto-Aztec, or not Aztec, but Zapotec, and the folks that are going to be where the Aztecs are. There's the Tlatilco culture. All of them are trading back and forth, and they're learning things and getting things from each other.
Yeah. No, one of the things I've always been curious about is I thought that the Olmec term was developed from a current civilization, but I just was reading that they Olmec means people of the rubber country, and that's a Aztec, I guess, was the origination of that name, right?
Yeah, it is an Aztec word en route, and in that region was still the rubber trees, and the Aztecs in their time were taking tribute from everybody all around Mesoamerica, and they knew the people there had the resource of rubber they wanted the most. So that was the rubber region, and when they explained it to the Spanish, well, that's how the name got there.
Yeah, and what were the Aztecs using rubber for? We see them in their ball courts, you know, the rubber balls and stuff, but what were they using rubber for, Ed?
All sorts of things that we use it for too. You know, they get it in these flat patties, not in balls. They'd have it imported that way. And I've read they made sandals out of it, a lot like, you know, they made Aztec tivas. And
okay.
And they would, you know, use it for sealing certain things, like making an impermeable bottom of things. They used it in many of the ways we do. One of them was definitely balls.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I didn't know they had sandals that were rubber. That's the first time I've heard that. That would make sense because they probably last a lot longer than the other material, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely, and they, you know, they're nice for high arches and things too. You know, they're more, they got more give than leather. There's a codex called the Codex Mendoza that was written at contact, but it was all about a tribute list. The Spanish wanted to know who they were getting tribute from and why they used it and all of that. So the Mendoza tells us a little bit about, you know, how many rubber patties came from that area and a little bit about what they used them for.
Okay. They're primarily found, the Olmec civilization is primarily found in the Gulf area of southern Mexico, and that's
Well, there's it's the states of Veracruz and
Veracruz.
Tabasco, and the big city that's in the heartland is Cozocalicos, along the Cozocalicos River.
Okay.
And then you got Villahermosa over there near La Venta, and you have Veracruz, the city, or actually the Tuxtla Mountains on the west side. But yeah, they stayed right there in that kind of the top part of what we call the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. That was the heartland.
Okay, so here's a hard one for you, Ed. And I've observed their work. I've seen their artifacts and artwork. They show up, and I know they have an earlier period where they were, trial and error kind of things, but they show up, masterful engineers, masterful artisans, because their artwork and sculpture is off this world, and working with water. I mean, yet all this amazing technology, and they're making mud pyramids. What the hell is that all about?
That is really part of the mystery. It's hard to explain around just how this, all the things you just mentioned.
Hey, can y'all hear everything loud and clear, man? I want to make sure everything loud and clear. Excuse me. This is the Wake and Bake Bill, so make sure y'all drop some fire emojis in the chat. Thumb up the video. Share the live stream. All right. I want to support the channel. Cash out tags on the bottom right of the screen. Are y'all even feeling this bill? Drop them fire emojis if y'all fucking with the bill. We ain't even really got started yet. I probably have to do a part 2 of this. And I will give y'all a part 2 later on. I won't even wait till tomorrow. I'll give it to you later on. I don't think y'all feeling this bill, man. Support the channel, man. I'm gonna let it go, man. But y'all need to support the channel. Share the live stream. Hit that like button. You feel what I'm saying? Straight up.
Kind of explode on the scene, seemingly,
and working with water. I mean, yet, all this amazing technology, and they're making mud pyramids. What the hell is that all about?
That is really part of the mystery. It's hard to explain around just how this, all the things you just mentioned kind of explode on the scene, seemingly, full fleshed out. There really aren't proto-cruddy versions of what the Olmec were doing. They start right off the bat making just beautiful art, and yes, they're using these technologies, and they're using a lot of stone too. Now where the cities are don't have a lot of stone resources. It's lowland swamps with rivers running through them, and places that are seasonally inundated made it great for growing lots of corn, but not for finding stone. So, on a practical side, they probably built up a lot of these things that were these massive platforms out of local materials. The big stone heads and the monuments, those are all basalt. And we know they didn't get them from where the cities are. They had to go over to the Tuxtla Mountains and drag basalt, 70 kilometers away for those.
Well, let me ask you, do we know of any stone quarries of the Olmec that are hundreds of miles from, say, La Venta?
There is one in particular that's on the south side of the Tuxtla Mountains, and it's a quarry, and there's actually the largest of all the Olmec heads we have is from there. So we saw they were quarrying it out, and it wasn't quite done, and it wasn't moved. It's called the La Corbata head, and it's the heaviest and largest of all of them.
So it's in situ. It hasn't really been excavated.
It's in the quarry, and so it really connects. I think they've done spectral studies on stone too. They know it's the same type. That would really be weird if they dragged a stone to a quarry that wasn't from that quarry. So we do have that quarry.
And so how far is that miles from, say, La Venta?
About 70 kilometers or miles. Gosh, I'd have to. I may
it's
get
not
that wrong.
short.
As an
pretty,
American, I'm always mixing those two up. But I bet you they said kilometers.
Okay.
Either way you cut it, it's pretty hard to move a 15-ton stone across a swamp.
Yeah. How the hell they did that? Because those basalt heads they average 20 tons each.
I think the smallest one is 10 tons, and the Corbata one is like closer to 30, I think.
Wow.
It's huge.
Haven't heard it. There was an American academic who believed, and he did the research, that the Olmec may have come from China, and he relates the Shang dynasty, because of the similarity in symbology and some of the other markings, as a originating source, which a bit of a stretch because we're talking about migrating from China to the Americas. But what do you say about that? And here we are speculating about the Olmec incomplete as we see them, having a complete formed society, highly advanced for that time period. And you would think that maybe that's a possibility simply because maybe they started in China, then came over after being, somewhat proficient.
Right. Well, I remember the study that you're talking about, and can go into why that ended up being false. He thought he had seen some Chinese characters on a celt a green celt that would hang off someone's belt. And he published this whole thing about that these were Chinese characters. But it turned out that in that same excavation, what it was a broken in half celt. So when you put them together, were two halves of a much more Olmec looking symbolism that was there. So he had that a little mixed up. But still, there's a lot more that makes people think they're Chinese. For one point, they are, by phenotype, by genetics, they're of Mongolian stock. So are all of the cultures of the Americas. They are genetically from Asia.
Now this nigga smoking dick. This nigga is out of his fucking rabbit ass mind.
The Maya are still born with what they call the Mongolian spot at the base of their spine. It's a little like
a Mongolian spot. What the fuck is he talking about? Hell no.
There's really an important distinction to be made here between the Olmec and the Epi-Olmec. There's a hiccup, right? First we have San Lorenzo, and it seems to be the primary site for a while. Then it switches to La Venta, which is the primary site, which I think is overly simplistic, just to say. But then when La Venta dies, there's a little bit of a gap, like a century or two, and then we get Tres Zapotes, and that's where we get all of this that we call Epi-Olmec writing. But San Lorenzo's got zero writing. La Venta has a couple of tempting little glyphs that are isolated and floating around in a picture. They're not like a text.
So in all that time, we don't have any artifacts with any writing, any iconography, or any kind of symbology that is noted?
Icons and symbols, yes. But writing, no. Okay. Epi-Olmec is the start of it. There's a big thing called the Mohara stela, and then there's these couple little things. There's a strange the Tushla statuette has a duck face of a man, and it's got writing on its back. Those are all after, say, 300 CE. And before that, there's two glyphs I can think of on a stela in La Venta, and they just, one of them's kind of eroded, and the other one's a vulture head that in Maya writing would mean a lord in rain.
Okay, what do we know of their cosmology? What planets were they focused on, and what did they find of greatest influence?
Okay, well, I see those as three separate questions.
Okay.
One, what is their cosmology?
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. We can definitely see shamanism and ancestor worship. We see people transforming into jaguars. They used to call them the Were Jaguar cult back in the 1950s. And we see them connecting with ancestors. There's a couple of things from La Venta that show a figure floating above a standing lord, and that's exactly how the Maya do it when they're in text explaining to us that that's a spirit coming to contact their ancestor or their descendant on Earth. So we don't see much at all in terms of gods. I mean, there's a couple of places where people want to see Quetzalcoatl or want to see a rain god, but they are not clear in the Olmec at all. There's ancestor worship, and there's definitely that shamanic transformation from animals to people and back and forth. Astronomy, we've got really nothing. There's the monuments were moved around. As we said at the start, the buildings are mostly dirt and they're eroded, so it's really hard to figure out what their alignment is to say anything like that.
So the main pyramid at La Venta isn't set on the cardinal points, or is it too eroded to even tell?
It's hard to tell. Yes, the main pyramid at La Venta has. I mean, we've got a guess at the orientation, but we could be off by 10 degrees, and that's not enough for astronomy. I have read somebody Inomata just suggested that a lot of the platforms are aligned to the zenith passage, the day that the sun goes right over your head. But that one's a hard one too. I really want to see that research before I just jump on it. I'm a huge fan of archaeoastronomy, and I want every bit of that I hear to be true. But I also know that it's still a very suspect field for conservative scholars, and I'm very careful not to undermine our progress and let naysayers throw the baby out with the bathwater.
We're going to talk about these platforms a little bit later, and the revolution I think they're going to bring to the whole field of research. One of the things that I find fascinating are the calendars that they created, and there's a 260-day calendar, and there's another one that's 360 days. That's genius to create that. Talk a little bit about the 260. That's cool.
Yeah, they are neat calendars, and I will say that we used to think the Olmec made them. Now it's kind of it's a race. It could be the Olmec, it could be the Zapotec, it could be the Maya. I mean, that's one of the exciting things about archaeology. We keep unearthing things that switch the time. Mm-hmm. The oldest date we have is 36 BC, oldest contemporary date, where we know they're not talking about the past. Okay. And that's actually in Chiapa de Corzo, which is kind of half Maya, half Olmec. It's an odd site.
Yeah.
But back to your question, 260 days. Isn't it neat? We are almost certain that's the first calendar they ever made.
This nigga don't understand shit, man. Like, he just gathering shit from random motherfuckers. Like, you gotta take your time with this Olmec shit. Either it's in your blood to tell it or it ain't, nigga. You don't know shit about this shit. The Olmec is not the mother civilization. You have older cultures like Corral, Supe, and the Peruvian Moshe cultures. You know what I'm saying? 5,000 years type shit. Niggas don't even want to talk about that, man. But shit, listen, we about to get ready to get out of here, man. This was just gonna be a little short video. I won't gonna hold y'all any longer. Yeah, man. I ain't even run them likes up like that. I ain't even run them likes up like that. Probably could have went a little longer, but nah, y'all got the likes up. I ain't gonna hit on y'all. was a dope ass build though. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Y'all got any feedback y'all want to say? Y'all want to support the channel? But cash out tags at the bottom right of the screen. Y'all want to support the movement? Cash out tags at the bottom right of the screen. And like I said, if you ain't following me on Instagram, that's at the bottom right of the screen as well by the copper prison. Yeah, man. Don't trust these people giving. Now, the information suck, man. The information suck. They don't have a clue. Oh yeah, if y'all ain't following my new channel, man, make sure y'all go follow the Battle Rap Wizards Battle Rap League channel, man. The link is in the description box of this video. The link is in the description box of this video. Make sure y'all go support the new channel, man. We need to try to get up to 1,500 subscribers by the end of this week. So I need everybody in this live stream to go to the description box right now. Like right now. Like right now. Hit the link and go subscribe to that channel. That's where all the battle rap events will be displayed, man. We got LV versus Trey, man. We got Sir Drop versus Out the Blue 40. And we announced the special battle after that, man. We got some dope shit going on. You feel me? Run over there in that description box and hit that YouTube link, man. Run over there, subscribe to the new channel, man. Go to the description box. Hey, my brother T1 Production just put it in the chat. So you ain't got to go that far. You can just hit the link in the chat. Run over there and subscribe real quick. Run over there and subscribe. Man, I need y'all to hit that. I need y'all to go follow me on Instagram too, man. Run up on Instagram followers. I'm trying to get to 2,000 followers this year. By the end of this year, man. I know I won't be active on there, but we got to get active. Y'all need to go follow me on Twitter. If you ain't follow me on Twitter, go follow me at Twitter at Power Aboriginal. Not Aboriginal Power, but Power Aboriginal. Go follow me on Twitter, man. Me and Chief about to start turning up over there on Twitter. And my brother Chief about to start turning up over there on Twitter. Y'all know what's going down. Y'all know what's going down. And let me get my nigga Chief the link real quick before we get out of here. Shout out to Paradox Bullock. Shout out to Paradox Bullock. As he said, for everybody gonna get this work. You know what I'm saying? That's right. Everybody gonna get this work. That's a fact. Appreciate the cash out donation, Mr. Bullock. Man, make sure y'all support the channel, man. Don't let Mr. Bullock be the only one support the channel, man. Y'all ain't nobody support the channel. Y'all wasn't even fucking with the bill. Y'all lame as hell for that. Y'all can at least share the live stream. I sent the link to the Billy Goat. Waiting on his ass to come on in. I sent the link to the Billy Goat. I'm gonna give his ass about 60 seconds, and I'm about to peel out. But nah, I'm waiting on the guy. Though yeah, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to the new channel, man. We need to get up to 1,500 subscribers. Link is in the description box. The Battle Rap Wizards, Battle Rap League, man. In conjunction. You know what I mean? It's in conjunction. We got the Supreme Chief motherfucking Holiday tapping in, man. What's going on, Supreme Chief? What's good with it, guys?
Big Aboriginal power. Peace to the God, man. How you doing, brother?
You already know the vibes.
Yeah, man. I'm running a little late today, man. We had a little late night build. Shout out to everybody, man. Tapped into that last night. It was awesome. Great build. And I see you up doing your thing, man. Appreciate the work, man. I do. I appreciate it, man. And one thing that's interesting to me about these guys, you know, is that they're using terminologies like Mesoamerica, right? What I point out about Mesoamerica, Meso means middle, so that's not ancient. There's a time period. There's literally a time period when we're talking about Mesoamerica, right? And what these people are doing, they're writing certain time periods and certain people and pushing them back in time. Like Maya. Oh, well, we don't know if it's Maya. We don't know if it's the, you know, we don't know if it's olmec or olmec's an Aztec word. And, you know, see how there's confusion and stuff. They never say anything about the She. They never talk about even older cultures other than that. We got the Caruso people that's 12,000 plus years old in Florida. Okay, so we know for a fact with science that's used today that the people in Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida are the same exact people that are in Mexico. I'm not gonna go back and forth with y'all. We're not gonna do that. Just because you believe in the modern demographics and borders, right? You believe that Mississippi existed, you know what I'm saying, in the 1200s, you know what I'm saying? You believe that Alabama in this form is, you believe this. You believe that in these borders and you believe in these lines, and that's how they beating us, because they're putting certain mind frames in our minds. So I definitely want to point that out, and you definitely on point when you saying that these people don't know what the fuck they talking about, and you know that by the names that they're calling the people and the stuff that and the things that they're pushing. You know what I'm saying? They're never going to say, when they ask about the cosmology, they never said they came from somewhere. They never said, oh, we came from somewhere to this place. We sprung from this soil. And that's something that they conveniently try to leave out, you guys. They conveniently try to leave out that we never said that we came here, that we've always been here. So when they have these people that come here, or cultures that are not older than our culture, that always trying to pass it off as if they brought that culture here, that's just a goddamn lie. So I want to say shout out to Big Aboriginal Power, man, dropping nothing but heat. Straight heat. The boat.
Man, we gave them like 5 days, 4
Let's
days.
do it.
Nothing but heat, man.
Man, sheesh, Ab TV hit him with, bro. I got to go back and watch that joint he did yesterday after your joint. They said he had a brother come on there that's like the founder of the Bitcoin. So, y'all know I'm not into it as much as these guys are, man. But great work, man. Great work. That's all I can say, man. You guys putting out great work. We got to say this, man. Great work. So salute, man. Salute.
Shout out
Man,
to
we're gonna keep doing it, bro.
yeah,
Let's
that's a
talk.
fact. Shout out to Leonardo for the Cash App donation, man. Make sure y'all support the
Big
channel, man.
dog.
I appreciate you, Leonardo. Make sure y'all support the real, man. I gotta support the real, man.
That's right. That's right, man. We appreciate everybody, man. And support the real. You already know, man. We working over here, bro. So there's not much more to say about that, man. Working. And once again, if you guys don't realize why this is important, is because these people have a vested interest in writing us out of history. We know what's going on because we were here. It's in our bloodline. And so that's why when you hear something, if it don't feel right, it's probably not because it's not right. So these guys are not fucking experts. You are. You was here. Just want to point that out.
That's a fact. They can't tell you shit about your history.
What? They making it up.
Yeah, they don't even have a clue.
Nope. Not at all. They making shit up as they go.
So man, make sure y'all tell y'all story that they trying to tell for y'all. Make sure y'all get it out first. Tell y'all history. Shout out to the American Aborigines in the chat, man. This was another one. Make sure y'all share the live stream, hit the like button, support the channel. It's your brother Big Aboriginal Power, Supreme Chief Holiday. Make sure y'all go follow the Battle Rap Wizards Rap League channel. The link to the channel is in the description box. Make sure y'all go hit that and hit the subscribe button, man. With that being said, we out of here. Peace, love, and light to all American Aborigines. Make sure y'all stay aware, stay vigilant, stay dangerous. It's your brother Big Aborigines, and we out. Peace.
Suave on the track.
Whatever it takes. Alleyway.
Coco, this your season right now.
They won't see me. They won't let me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the strap. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I can't let them, yeah. They won't see me, yeah. I put attention, all of my blood, all of my veins. They started with perky, now that hair right up his veins. You started with serving, now them drugs drove you insane. Started with dealing, I grew up with killers, they taught me the game. I got some niggas that die behind, and that shit won't never the same. I know some niggas that lie behind, and that bullet had his name. Ain't no reason to cry about, cause that shit won't never change. MTF the 4th and P, my niggas can't get out the game. I gotta sleep with one eye open, tripping, making me nervous. I take a piss, my hand on the stern. I know the odds wanna murder. I got a feeling, keep my stomach paranoid, yeah. I won't let them, yeah. They won't see me.